In this video, I'll be showing how to turn a common candy dispenser into a powerful ballistic knife. I'm first going to start by taking the candy dispenser and cutting the top off just above the slit in the back. The entire spring assembly can now be pressed out through the bottom of the device. The spring must now be removed from this slide. It is easily enough done on the top half by using your fingers, but you may need to use the tip of a pen to get it out of the clasp on the bottom. In order to make the resulting knife more powerful, I'm going to be combining the springs of a total of 4 candy dispensers. All 4 springs should be aligned so that their spiral is facing the same direction. They can then be pressed together into one. These 4 springs should now be reinserted into one of the slides. Before this slide is reinserted into our dispenser, we need to make some minor modifications for the trigger. On the same side of the dispenser that has the feet on the bottom, we need to drill a hole about 1/4 inch down from the top. The diameter of this hole should be approximately 3/16 of an inch. Through this tiny hole, a small button is going to be pressed through, which will allow the blade to fly. To make this button, I'm going to take one of the slides from the dispensers that we took the springs from and cut a small strip of plastic out of the side. The ink cartridge is now pulled from the back of a pen, and the tube from the pen is set aside for later. The very end of the ink cartridge from the pen is not filled with ink. A small portion is cut off to act as the button. A dot of hot glue is now placed on one end of the strip of plastic. The button made from the ink cartridge in the pen is sunk into it. Another dot of hot glue is placed onto the plastic strip, this time on the far side from where we just glued the button. The strip of plastic is now glued to the candy dispenser in such a way that the button goes through the hole that was drilled in the side. The entire spring assembly can now be slid right back into the bottom of the dispenser. Some hot glue in the bottom will hold the slide permanently in place. With the handle now completed, it is time to move on to the blade. The steel blade on the projectile could easily be harvested from any small pocket knife. In this particular case, however, I used a bench grinder and a file to form a hacksaw blade into what you see here. Whether the blade comes from a small pocket knife or if it is filed down from a piece of metal like these were, it should be about 3 inches long and 1/2 inch wide at the base. To create the handle for this knife, we take the tube from the pen that we disassembled earlier and we cut 2 sections off of the end. Each section should be 1 3/4 of an inch in length. Once the tubes have been cut, they are aligned next to each other and a bead of superglue holds them together. Once the glue between the tubes has dried, mount the blade in a sturdy position with the blunt end facing up. The back side of the blade must now be heated with a torch or a lighter. Now take the tubes and press them down onto the hot blade so that they melt into the center. Try to keep them as straight with the blade as possible. The blade is now complete. To load this blade, it is pushed down into the modified candy dispenser. It is then angled toward the side that the button is on so that it catches on the lip that is meant to prevent the spring from flying out the top. When the button is pressed, it will force the blade off of the lip, allowing it to come free.